Welcome to Lesson 2A. This is the part 1 of the Lesson 2. So there's 3 parts to Lesson 2. The first part we'll be discussing some definitions, such as variable, literal, and the scanner class. So a variable is basically something that holds data in Java. So in this program, the variable x holds 2. Variable y holds 5. Now these are initialized variables, as in we give them a value from the very beginning. Now, if we want an uninitialized variable, we don't give it a value. So here, y is not initialized anymore, it's uninitialized now. Now it's initialized again. Now why would we have uninitialized variables? Well, when you want the user to enter something, you want the variable to hold the data of whatever they enter. So if you want them to enter their name, you use a scanner class first of all, but you make an uninitialized variable here, and then you let name equal whatever they enter in the keyboard. So that's how it works. Now every variable has literal, which is here string, int, double, and so forth. Now, there are different types of literals. There are integer data types, which are values that hold integers, such as byte and short. Now, the difference between byte and short is the integers they hold. For example, byte only holds integers from -128 to 127. So the best one to use is int because it holds it from -2 billion to +2 billion. So for the most part, if you want to hold an integer, you would use int. And we could use byte here because no one's going to be over the age of 124 or 127, but it's better to use int just in case the user makes a mistake. And for amount per week, now there are floating point data types, such as a float and a double. Now, don't worry about floats. We'll be using doubles for all our programs, but the double holds a decimal. Basically, floating points hold decimals. So amount per week could be try it out. Amount per week could be $705.50. Now that's a decimal. That's not an integer. So we use double. The double data type. Now let's try making this int. Hold on. And make this int. Let's see what happens if we use decimal. So it won't work. $205.50. There you go. Input mismatch exception. You can't use a decimal with an int data type. It needs to suck. Let's Control Z. Okay, fix that. Next thing is to use a variable, you have to declare it in this form: data type, variable name. Now, the first word in a variable is going to be lowercase, and then every word sequential to that is going to be uppercase. So you make a variable called int first, second, third, fourth. Second, third, and fourth are capitalized, while first is not capitalized. Now every variable has a semicolon because it's a statement. Remember, all statements have semicolons. Let's go back. So examples are int day, double GPA. Now GPA can be 3.7, 3.8. That's a decimal. Now long is, talk about long. Yes, a long is also a integer data type. Now, if you want to go up to 9 billion and the population is 7 billion, you would have to use a long data type because an int cannot carry more than 2 billion. So if you want to make a program using the Earth's population, we use the long data type. Okay. Also, Boolean data types are when we want to declare something as true or false. So Boolean week works equals true or false or whatever. Don't worry about Booleans yet. We'll go over Booleans later on. Okay. The next thing is the scanner class. Scanner class is used to read input from a source. It can read strings, doubles, ints, etc. So now, if you want to use a scanner class, you have to import it using this. Import a scanner class using this line right here. Import java.util.scanner. So when you ever use a scanner class, import this first. Next thing is you create an object called keyboard. So scanner object name, which is keyboard, equals new scanner system.in. Now you can use the scanner class after creating the object. So the object name is still here. So if we call it 1, call this 1, the next one. 1, and so on. Sorry, I'm sick, so I keep coughing, whatever. Okay, so enter your name. See how the variable name equals 1 on the next line. So now the variable name is going to hold the name. Oh, another thing is that a string is literal, but it's also a class. So it's capitalized. It's different than int, double, and float and all that because it's not a data type. Even though it's literal, it's also a class. Because it does not hold, for example, it does not hold numbers. It holds characters. So does the card data type. I mean literal. It also holds characters, but it only holds one character, like car A. So let's keep going. Make sure I get here. Yes. Okay. So the next thing you need is each data type has a different way of, or each literal has a different way of using the scanner class. So if you have an int data type right here for age, and you want to ask the user to enter their age, so you do system.out.print, enter your age. Age, which is the variable, equals 1.next int, because it's an int data type. For double, it would be .next double instead of .next int. And remember, the variable that you want to hold the data for amount per week is right here. So you put it in right here when you ask the user to enter how much they make per week, and so forth. Now for string, it's not next string, it's next line. That's the difference. That's kind of tricky, but make sure you put next line, not next string. Okay, that's it for lesson 1A. I'm not going to go over the whole program for 2B because that's for next lesson. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I'll see you soon.